Welcome back to Underspire Gaming. Today I'm going to walk you through how to quickly paint up your Stryx to match the studio style by making judicious use of Army Painter speed paints. The paints I used are currently on screen and in the description below. To start, I zenithal highlighted the model, which put in shadows and highlights that the speed paints can leverage. I used Gravelord Gray straight from the bottle to then paint all of the feathers on the model. As I paint, I try and apply an even coat of the speed paint all over the model, making sure to use the brush to suck up any paint where it's starting to pool. And to make sure there's not too much paint on the brush, I tend to tap it on my palette before I go to actually brushing. The speed paint is thin enough that if I make a mistake, I can usually just brush it off before it starts to dry. Next, I switch to Pallid Bone. With this, I'm going to paint all of the carapace on the Stryx. Again, I'm paying attention to not let any of the speed paint pool on the surfaces, otherwise it'll end up with a splotchy effect. But I'm not too careful about hitting other areas because the rest of the colors are darker and will cover up any of the Pallid Bone that gets elsewhere. I forgot to record painting the tree, but I used 1 drop of Darkwood, 2 drops of Sand Golem, and a drop of the speed paint medium to help lighten the color for the tree. Here I'm just quickly going back to touch up some feathers on the head that I'd missed the first time. To get a color similar to the box art, I mixed 2 drops of Plasmatic Blue with 1 drop of Highlord Blue and applied that to all the fabric on the model. As you can see, this color is much darker than the Pallid Bone, so it easily hides any slight mistakes that were made. All that remains to have paint on the model is to paint up the skin tones. I took 2 drops of Crusader Flesh to 1 drop of Fire Giant Orange to get a more red hue for the skin. And with that all painted, you could stop here and call it done. But there's another simple step that will really help bring out the details of these models, and that's dry brushing. I used ice yellow for my dry brush color, but you could easily use any kind of off-white or light gray color. To dry brush, you're going to take a soft bristled brush and dip it into the paint of your choice. You're then going to brush it on a paper towel until you cannot see any more paint coming off of it. And if you run the brush across the back of your hand, you should see no paint show up. If you then carefully move it quickly across the surfaces of the models, the residual amounts of paint will slowly rub off onto the model, highlighting the edges and details and helping the model pop. Finally, as I'd been working on the model, I'd noticed smaller details that looked like they could have been metal, so I applied greedy gold to them to help make them pop. And with that, the model is done. In all, I spent about 7 minutes painting this model, and if I had batch painted the entire set, it would have taken less time per model, as I'd be able to keep using the same paint across all of the models instead of having to constantly switch. And that's all it takes to get some nice looking models on your table. If you're in the US and looking for a Conquest event to participate in, Warfare Weekend will be running November 4th to 6th. On Friday the 4th, there'll be an 800-point First Blood event with the dagger shown below that we painted as a prize for first place. And then Saturday and Sunday, a 2,000-point Last Return of Kings event with the painted helm shown on the bottom right. Additionally, Parabellum has generously provided prize support for this event as well, so be sure to sign up. You can find the information in the description. Additionally, if you're going to be at Warfare Weekend, I'll be there with equipment to digitize models. So if you bring your Conquest models, I can scan them and upload them to be used in Tabletop Simulator. And here's a list of upcoming in-person tournaments. You can find links and information in the description below. And if you have an upcoming tournament that you'd like to have shared at the end of these videos, just shoot me an email at underspiregaming@gmail.com. And if you want more Conquest content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.